BitMine just came out with one of the craziest announcements I've seen in a long time. They're planning to raise $20 billion. When I first read the news, my immediate thought was, okay, that's it. This stock is going to crash. Normally, a massive share sale like that is bad news for a stock price. But what happened here was the exact opposite. The stock actually went up, and it's been on an absolute tear. So let's break down exactly what's going on, why it's happening, and what it could mean for the future price. First, let's talk about what this announcement really means. BitMine filed what's called a prospectus supplement, basically telling the SEC, we're ready to sell up to $20 billion worth of our shares. They're doing this under something called a controlled equity offering. Now, in plain English, that just means they have permission to sell chunks of stock whenever they choose, at whatever prices make sense, instead of dumping it all at once. The plan is to use this money to buy a massive amount of Ethereum. And here's the genius part. They're doing this while the stock is already riding high. Usually, companies will sell a little bit here and there over time, but that can create uncertainty every time they announce it. BitMine has basically said, we're telling you now one big plan so we can raise money over the next year or two without making constant dilution announcements. It's smart, it's strategic, and it shows they're thinking ahead. Now, BitMine's whole business model is actually very straightforward but incredibly powerful when executed well. When Ethereum's price rises, BitMine's stock tends to rally too. At those high points, they sell some shares, use the cash to buy more Ethereum, which increases their total assets, which then boosts the value of the company, and the stock climbs even more. It's a cycle that feeds itself. The more they grow their Ethereum holdings, the more the market rewards them, and the faster they can repeat the process. We've seen other companies try similar strategies, like MicroStrategy with Bitcoin, but BitMine is moving faster and playing the game more aggressively. They're not waiting around, they're capitalizing on momentum and market excitement in real time. When the news first hit, the stock jumped about 6% right out of the gate. That was partly because Ethereum itself was also up around 4 to 5% that day. Then, as you might expect, there was some selling pressure. It dropped about 9 to 10% from the highs. But here's the interesting part. Buyers came in almost immediately to scoop up those dips. That's a sign of serious momentum, strong investor trust, and a belief in the company's long-term vision. Even after announcing the possibility of heavy dilution, BitMine stayed one of the most heavily traded stocks on the entire U.S. market. That doesn't happen unless there's real demand. Let's look at the numbers. Right now, BitMine's market cap is roughly $7 billion. They hold about $3.5 billion in Ethereum. If they successfully raise the full $20 billion and use it to buy Ethereum at current prices, their total Ethereum holdings could jump to around $23.5 billion. If the market continues to value them at the same premium it does today, the company's market cap could move up to about $47 billion. That would give you a stock price in the neighborhood of $184, which is roughly 3 times higher than where it is today. And that's just the base case. Let's imagine Ethereum doubles in price from here. Not a crazy assumption when you look at recent moves in the crypto market. If that happens, and if the premium stays similar, BitMine's stock could be looking at numbers in the $700 range. That's not my prediction for next week, next month, or even necessarily next year, but the potential is there over the longer term if the strategy plays out. The key here is how they'll actually sell these shares. I don't think they'll dump the full $20 billion's worth at once. More likely, they'll release small amounts at different price levels, maybe selling a chunk at $60, then $80, then $100, $120, $150, and so on. That way, they get the best average price, raise the most money with the least amount of shares, and avoid killing their own momentum. This kind of discipline in timing and execution is a big reason the market is responding so positively. What I really like is that they seem to be playing the long game. They're building a massive Ethereum position. They're making sure they have capital to grow during the next big crypto surge, and they're doing it in a way that keeps investor excitement alive. When you combine that with the fact that they're one of the most traded stocks in the country right now, you get a recipe for huge potential moves in the future. Of course, none of this is guaranteed. Crypto is volatile, stocks are volatile, and big plans like this always carry risk. But when you see a company moving with this kind of speed, confidence, and strategic thinking, it's hard not to pay attention. So that's why I think BitMine could be a life-changing stock if they execute. It's the combination of a powerful strategy, perfect timing, market momentum, and the willingness to take big swings that makes this so exciting to watch. If you want to keep up with what happens next, make sure you're subscribed, because this story is going to keep developing fast. And remember, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where your portfolio is packed with winners like this.